Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lex, and I would greatly appreciate it if you want to support me or support the channel if you would consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. It helps to get the videos out there and it inspires me to keep creating. Today, we are going to get back into Temptation Island. We are going to be talking about episodes 7 and 8. It has been so fun to watch this. The amount of you guys that have told me you are only watching this because I kept talking about it. I love it. I love when you guys jump on with me and we can talk about these shows. This has been a very interesting season. So if for some reason this is the first video you're watching or you still have not been convinced, I highly recommend going and binging it. The whole season is up. So go on ahead. And today we're going to talk about these next 2 episodes. We're almost done with the season. We're probably going to have one more Temptation Island video after this one. So let's jump in. All right, so we start off on the ladies' bonfire. Remember, the cliffhanger was, what is Shantae gonna say? She's about to see this threesome clip, so let's get into it. So of course, Shantae gets the clip of the threesome. Then we get the morning after where Brion is talking about not having any regrets, how he needed the threesome to happen. He still respected Shantae because there was no emotional connection behind it. Blah, blah, blah. And again, Brion, men like Brion, they are so disgusting to me because they look at women as so disposable. Even the way he talks about his own girlfriend as if she's so disposable, she's definitely gonna forgive him no matter what. And I just absolutely am repulsed by people like that.
Kind of make me feel a little dumb, slightly, just because, I've been so confident that he's being faithful to me. And
so Shantae at this point is speechless. I wasn't really expecting a lot from Shantae because, again, Shantae does give me vibes that all it takes is Brion crying and bring God into it because, you know, Shantae's a Christian. Bring God into it. Say that God led you. God put it on your heart to be a better man, blah, blah, blah. I can really see Brion doing it now. So Shantae, I do think this hurts her and I do think it upsets her. And I agree with Mark from a couple of bonfires ago where it does seem like there's a block for Shantae, where she almost cannot let out her real feelings regarding this situation. But for her, she just feels so dumb believing that Brion was going to be faithful. And I'm like, is it delusion? Is it delusion? Because I just don't understand what about Brion gave that he was going to be faithful. When the thing that you guys came here on, the premise, the crux, the problem in your relationship was that he wanted threesomes and you didn't. And you thought he was going to be faithful? I don't know. At least for me, I find that to be a little bit challenging, but okay. Mark is like, so is it different since it was emotionally disconnected? Mark be irritating me. Me and my husband were talking about the show, and I definitely think that they need to bring on, one, a female therapist or host or whoever for the women. In addition to this, I think they need to bring on an intimacy coach onto the show, and they need to bring on real and actual therapists. I understand we're not going to get like legitimate licensed people probably, but at least bring on a life coach or somebody who could talk to these people, because I feel like sometimes the questions Mark asks are just so out of this world. Shantae says, I don't understand how it would be emotionally disconnected. I mean, they did it, and I agree. To me, this concept of emotionally disconnected because I just did it and left, which again, to me, that would be even more horrifying. I think if I was Shantae, I'd be even more horrified to know that this man could just hit it and quit it like that. Ooh, I don't know. But Shantae is still living in a land of delusion. She does not believe that this would actually happen in real life. She does not believe that Brion would have actually cheated on her in this way. And I'm like, but Brion cheated on you before, once that you know about. Ooh, sweet summer child Shantae. I just feel like Shantae, I feel so bad for her. As I said, this Shantae brand of Christian that is just so deep in the sauce and believes these relationships are God ordained. And oh my goodness, I just really feel bad for people like this because they really do get taken advantage of by their partner. And all Brion has done is take her through the ringer, then pretend to cry. And it's a little bit too much for me. So that is the end end of the women's bonfire. Now, Mark does let them know that they will also have the opportunity to send a 30-second message to their partner, and their partner can send it one as well, but you might not get one. Maybe you will, and maybe you won't. So back at the girls' villa, Shantae is letting all the guys know it was not a good time. Things went really, really rough for her. Ashley is also reporting to the other guys, her two suitors, about how Brion had a threesome.
Be sure they had a threesome. And then they come out and they're like looking around. He's in a towel, and he's like, "Oh, the birds are chirping. Like it's morning." Like
definitely, Shantae was the one who had it the hardest out of everybody coming back. And again, it's one of those things where I would just be feeling so much shame and embarrassment that my man acted like this and really had no remorse about it. So it really is the talk of the villa. Now, Lex is really wondering why Shantae did not react more. And again, I just think with Shantae, there is a level of delusion that she has where she still does not believe this is the person Brion is. I think Brion has successfully manipulated this woman into believing that this is a totally separate experience and it's just something that they needed to get over and they'll have a better relationship. And to me, that's very, very sad. But again, Lex is talking about how it absolutely makes no sense that she thinks that Brion would not do this in real life. So Shantae is still wondering if he's thinking about the life they want together, the life that they were supposed to have forever. She does not recognize the guy in the video. And I'm like, yeah, Shantae, maybe you never knew him. Maybe you never knew him. And the fact that you're asking if this man is still thinking about forever. Was he thinking about forever when he was... Come on. So... for Shantae, the loving side of her really, really hates this for Brion, and she starts to shift her feelings to talking about how bad she feels that Brion is getting shown in a bad light, that he's not this type of guy. She hates that it looks like this, and I'm like, here we are. We're already lost. It's really sad. I think that Shantae needs to be seeing the lady. I don't think that Shantae needs to be on a show like this because it is very clear that Brion deeply, deeply has manipulated this woman in this relationship. And that is the reason that she's having this output. Shantae has not taken a second to think about herself and to think about what is being done for her or to even consider the possibility that this person is a fraud. I don't know. I think the fact that they met at church and she's a Christian, I think that sits a lot on her, where it's like, how many frauds go to church, girl? I don't know. For me, I actually feel bad for Shantae. I don't even want to drag her. I don't even want to call her Delulu. I just felt very sad watching her. And Lex is even trying to talk to her and
that I promise you, from the outside, you look like a strong girl that was loyal to your man.
yeah.
and be like, why do you think this is like this? Why do you think that he acted this way? It's not okay to be this way. Shantae continues to cry, talking about how their kids are gonna see this, and she can't believe he would act like this. And I feel like Lex is even sitting there like, what the heck? Like, what is going on? I don't know. It's just a lot to me. But the girl, meanwhile, Ashley is talking to her suitors and talking about the clip of Grant, him effing Natalie, and saying the next morning that he would still be willing to forget and forgive Ashley if she got over things. And now Ashley's having a huge debate internally about whether she's actually going to send Grant a letter or not. To me, I'm like, I don't get why it's so confusing whether or not people will send letters. I just feel like even if I was unsure, I would just send the letter and be like, hey, what you've done to me really hurts, and this gives me a lot to think about of whether we would actually move forward or not. I just feel like I would send something, but maybe that's just a little petty in me. I'm not a petty person naturally, but if I was on this, I would probably be petty, and I would probably definitely want to get my lick back and just send something. So at the guys' villa, once again, Grant is claiming to Natalie that he is planning to break it off with Ashley in the message 100%. And again, Natalie, I'm gonna need you to do a little bit of thinking for yourself. How many times has Grant effed you, then the next morning said he was going back to Ashley, then said never mind after the bonfire, effed you again, next morning he's talking about how he would get back with Ashley, then after the bonfire he says he's 100% done. Grant seems very up and down. Grant also needs to be seeing the man, okay? He needs to be seeing the man. He needs to be sitting in the man's chair and and figuring out how to get over some of these different feelings, because I just feel like Grant is all over the place when it comes to things, and I feel like he has no real idea what he wants to do. Grant is clearly very impulsive. That's one thing that we can definitely see. He's very impulsive, and whatever's happening in the moment is what he goes along with. So Brion and Amaya. Amaya is in Brion's room, and they start to talk because Brion is opening up about the threesome.
Boundaries. I'm not gonna let someone come in and tell me that I have to sit through a very uncomfortable situation because he wants. Sorry?
I said people are weird.
Whatever, Brion.
And Amaya's like, wait, what? With who? And he's like, oh, Courtney and Alex. And she's like, what? What? So Amaya's like, your girlfriend was willing to allow this? I am very confused. And Brion's like, well, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of up to her how she responds. And see, this is for me where I'm like, Brion doesn't care. That's a very, if you're watching Married at First Sight, that's a very David response. Well, it's up to you what you want to believe. Yeah, because you're not planning to explain yourself, because you have this arrogance and this cockiness about you that you're entitled to act however you want. But, everybody owes you a laundry list of different things that they need to do. So he starts to get into how he felt like the threesome was the reason that they were incompatible in their relationship, but he realized that that's actually not the case at all. He realized that he just didn't want to take responsibility for being a bad boyfriend. And Amaya's like, what the fuck? Amaya's like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't really want to have this conversation with you in this context right now. I just feel like it's gonna look really weird, and I just don't feel comfortable with that. Brion's like, what? Why do you care so much about perception? What is your problem? Amaya's like, okay, I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna get out of the room now because I don't feel like this is for me. And he's like, you're such a fucking weirdo. People are so fucking weird. And she's like, what did you say, Brion? And he's like, I said you're fucking weird. I'm like, this weird ass man. You are trauma dumping on a random woman. You've been playing with all of these girls in here, and then you still feel like you are entitled to their time and their emotional labor. You've been the first person on this show to dispose of women like they don't mean a thing to you, like they are just sex objects. Then you're mad that now when you need emotional help, you expect that this woman is randomly gonna listen to you? He proceeds to be like, everybody's like a fucking 5-year-old in here. I'm like, this man, Shantae, it just makes me upset. Brion really makes me upset. So the next morning, Brion wakes up realizing that things are up in the air when it comes to him and Shantae. He really, really wants to use the message that he records to explain everything to Shantae. So Ashley and her suitor, she's once again letting them know that she does not have anything to say to Grant. It's likely she won't send a message. Now, Taylor and Yaman, they are talking, and Taylor talks about how she does not feel like she exists in Tyler's mind at this point anymore. And for her, she's going to be very emotional, whether she gets a video or not. Taylor and Kay are talking. Now, Tyler is saying that Taylor being happy for the first time was refreshing, but he's still coming to terms of whether or not he's going to send a message to her or not. Because remember, he saw Taylor being really, really happy with Yaman. And it's very interesting because there's a lot of people that feel almost relieved to see their partner happy because they know that they wanted an out in the first place. So Mark shows up to the women's villa. He asks them to think of 2 guys each that they all really like, and then the 4 guys that are not chosen are going to go home. The guys are also about to do the same thing. And I'm like, finally, Mark, where have the eliminations been? We have entirely too many people, because we saw people here that we don't get they don't have a Chiron. We don't get scenes of them because no one is talking to them. This house should have been cut down a long time ago. Let's jump into it.
Oh boy.
As we get deeper into this journey, your connections matter more. And for you to focus means that you need to narrow down.
First off, we start off with Lex. Lex, first off, goes with Max because Max is her bestie. We do know that she and Max have had a platonic but pretty pretty close friendship the entire time, so that made a lot of sense. And she also picked Gio because she has a lot of comfort in their friendship. Next up is Taylor. Obviously, she picks Yaman. We've seen them have a connection so far. They are getting closer. He is a bright light and super fun to be around. And she also picks Case. Even though we haven't really seen her and Case, or she and Case, let's say, connect since Case has come back into the villa, they do have deeper conversations about life, and it's not surface level. Now for Shantae, she picks Hashim. He is a good friend to her and a good light to the house. And then she picks Dan, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know who Dan is. I think we got one scene in the show earlier of Dan, so we could be like, oh yeah, Dan, the guy we saw earlier, but we haven't really seen Dan on the show. And lastly, Ashley chooses, of course, Danny, because he's great energy, she's comfortable around him, and we know that they're starting to build some sparks together. And Logan, all he can do is complain about being the last pick. He's talking about some thanks for making me the last pick. So they now have to choose who they want to go out with on their dates tonight. They're also going to be recording these messages soon. And Mark says, hey, you guys need to get off of this little villa. So we're all going to go on a group outing tonight so you guys can all just have some fun. Now on to the guys' villa. They have to do the same thing, pick 2 women each that they like, and the 4 not chosen, they will go home. So we start off with Tyler. He first off picks Kay. Of course, Kay is his strongest connection. At this point, it's really looking like Tyler is ready to leave with Kay. And it does seem deeper because he has not effed her yet. I'm not saying that necessarily means anything, but I think the fact that it does seem like he's genuinely taking it slow, maybe it just really is that Taylor's personality is not really for Tyler, or maybe he just was not ready when he got into that relationship. And sometimes, unfortunately, I feel like when relationships are inundated with too much trauma and too much resentment, it gets to a point where it's very hard for both sides to forgive one another. Now, he also picks Mel. I don't know who Mel is. Brion picks Angel because he loved the deep question she asked, and he picks Amaya because he loves their love-hate relationship, but she does challenge him. And I saw what Brion was trying to do. I knew that Brion was not going to pick Courtney or Alex, the 2 girls that he did the threesome with. I knew he was not going to pick the 2 of them, and he was going to be like, see, you could go back and see, Shantae, that I didn't choose them. See, that just shows that I didn't care about them at all. See, I was willing to let them go home. I didn't even give an F anymore. And I was like, Brion, I see what you're doing, you dirty dog. Now, Grant picks Natalie because she's the most bubbly girl that he's ever met, and Alex because they have good banter. And Lino lastly picks Nikki because she has a great spirit and she's always positive, and Olivia S because she's always here for a good time. And I found it funny that Olivia S was a first line pick. I think was it for Grant before Kay? I think he had picked Olivia S originally, but now she's kind of been on the back burner. We haven't really seen much of her. So Brion in the confessional is on some Courtney's cool, but I'm good. Now I can tell Shantae she doesn't have to worry about it. And I was like,
Court, but I'm good, and I'm glad I can go back now and be like, Shantae, you don't gotta worry about that.
See? I knew this is what he was trying to do. He was trying to be like, I didn't pick her, I don't care about her. So anyways, on to the date nights. Everybody has these little conversations on this group outing, and this is the time where most of them take to ask whoever they want on a date. So Brion is laying it very thick with Amaya, telling her that she's his favorite in the house. He really likes her. She continues to say that she does not see the respect from him, so why should he be rewarded with a date from her, essentially? And I love how Amaya is standing her ground. I love how Amaya is not even enamored with Brion. Even as a temptress, Amaya is like, get away from me. Like, this man disgusts me. And I love that because honestly, men like Brion are so dangerous. Brion talking about how can I respect you? And she's like, by not calling me weird. Maybe that's a start. He's like, okay, I'm sorry about that. Are we good? And he does ask her on a date, and she begrudgingly accepts the date. Now, Max and Lex, Max said he learned a lot from seeing her confidence in her relationship with Lino, how she handles things, and so he asked her on a very platonic best friend date, and of course Lex accepts. Lino and Alex are talking, and Lino, I don't know if Lino had a few too many drinks in him.
Attraction there.
For me, I gotta adjust myself.
Again?
Always. Stop dipping the straw in it like that.
Why?
He was on some, we've always been intrigued with each other. Why you dipping the straw in the cup like that? Don't do that. Oh my God, I need to go to bed before I make some bad decisions. And he asked her on a date. She's like, you can tell Alex is not really feeling it. You can tell she's like, what? I'm just putting my straw in the cup. Like, I'm not doing anything. And I'm like, Lino, stop it. You're just on your girl, Lex. So don't even be trying to act like it. But Lino claims that he needs to test himself again to see if he's going to make any bad decisions. I'm like, Lino, you don't even barely like anyone here. I think you think she's cute, but there is no connection between the two of you outside of that. Now, Kay and Tyler are, of course, all over each other. Tyler continues to profess his love to Kay, talking about how Kay is a risk worth taking. But for him, this does make him feel vulnerable. At this point, he really wants to make the right decision, and he's very, very afraid to mess up, to do it wrong again. But he hopes that she will take another risk on him by going on a date, and of course she accepts. In the confessional, Tyler does talk about how at this point he is considering leaving the island with Kay and asking her to be in a legitimate relationship. So again, I think Tyler, out of everybody, if there's one person here that I think truly seriously is done, it is Tyler. I know Grant keeps saying he is, but him and Ashley have that back and forth toxic stuff where you never really know if it's the truth. But I definitely think Grant, he's on his, I am over it. I don't want to do this anymore. Get me out of here. So, Yaman and Taylor. Now, Taylor realizes that Yaman makes her quite nervous and that the feelings are really starting to stir up. I'm gonna keep it real with you. This is giving vacation fling. I could never, ever see the two of them working in real life. At all. I just don't see. I see the physical chemistry, but it's giving, oh my God, I met you in like a resort. Let's have a fun weekend together, rather than, oh, we could actually have a life together. Now for Taylor, she is nervous because she hasn't dated him forever. And now she's making a connection and she feels that physical connection there. She realizes at this point that Tyler is doing things over there and she's been holding back a lot for her feelings with Yaman. But at this point, she is afraid to get hurt and doesn't want to dive in head first. At this point, there is definitely romantic vibes. She asks him on a date and he does say yes. Okay, so Grant and Natalie, he asks her for a date and a kiss, and it is a yes to both. Logan, Ashley, and Danny, bruh, they're always in this little trio. I don't understand why it always has to be the three of them at once like this. But Ashley does thank both of them for how they have been there for her, how they've supported her, they've uplifted her. They start to talk about, what do you really want? Danny steps up, big balls Danny today. He's on some, I want you. So as you can imagine, Danny and Ashley, they end up going on a date. Logan's like, okay, now, Danny, I see you. So back at the men's villa after the date, Brion is feeling super, super anxious. He feels that Shantae's message will open up a lot about how she feels. And the next day, we get into the videos. All right, so on to the videos. We first start off with Ashley's video from Grant.
I've neglected my own because I felt responsible for breaking you. And as a man,
so Grant talks about how he feels heartbroken about the way that Ashley has been talking and feeling about him. At this point, he realizes he's only been focused on her feelings because he felt that he was responsible for breaking her. So he felt that he had to build her back up again. At this point, he knows he's a great man, he's a great father, and he forgives her and himself. At this point, he just wants her to be happy, but he also has to think about himself. I thought the message was interesting. I think Grant, again, we never really hear Grant take accountability for things. I think this is the closest we heard Grant take accountability. So, okay, for Ashley, after this message, she says that she loves him, but she is not in love with him. Now we get on to Grant. Grant opens up the box and there is no video from Ashley.
What are we fighting for? I don't know.
He starts to cry these crocodile tears, talking about how, oh, Ashley's hurt and it hurt so bad she didn't say anything, but I know she's hurt and she can't let go. At this point, silence speaks louder than words. No message is a message. And I'm like, Grant, stop this. What is it that you want from her so badly? I actually am really starting to wonder, like, what is it that Grant wants from Ashley so badly? For her to apologize to him? But in reality, you guys have had this on and off toxic relationship, terrible time with one another. I'm just wondering what it is that he would want to hear from her when it seems that a lot of this started after his cheating. And I'm not saying that Ashley holds no part in choosing to stay with him and choosing to engage in this. But you would think Grant was the victim in this. You would think Grant was the one that was cheated on. Anyways, on to Lino.
Always been my first choice, but still don't know if you could fully trust me. I hope to see some growth from both of us at the end of this journey, and
So Lino's video from Lex talks about how she misses him and how he's been trustworthy amidst the other men acting crazy. And she really loves and appreciates that. She really hopes that she can call him hers at the end of this experiment and wants her back. At this point, she is locked in. She knows that that's her man. She knows that he ain't been doing anything. And at this point, Lino is crying. He knew that he wanted to challenge himself, but realizes that losing Lex would be the worst decision he ever made. And as I said, with this couple, y'all really need to go see the lady, but not because I think y'all are beyond the point of no return. I feel like going to see the lady would give y'all the tactics to discuss the problems you have. Because unlike all the other couples here, where the big problems are constant infidelity and getting back together on and off, y'all have a real issue of, okay, one of us has a really powerful, demanding job of being a nurse. Anyone who's been with somebody who's in the medical field, I'm sure, can relate to this. And Lino feels like he can't focus on himself. So what are the solutions to get there? That is something you talk about with the lady and you actually build your relationship further. I think these two would benefit from couples counseling. So I hope they can figure it out because I have faith in them. So Lex gets her video. Lino says that he misses her and hopes that she's making meaningful connections.
And I've come to realize there's only one Alexa. I love you so much.
And he wants her to remember that there's only one Lino and there's only one Lex. And I was like, oh, stop it. I love these two, okay? Neither one of them has gone the distance. Neither one of them has even had an inclination to cheat on the other one. It is so clear that what they have is real and I am here for it. So on to Tyler. Tyler opens it up. Nothing.
Silence.
Dust. Just saying. Once again, Tyler talking about some silence speaks. I feel like I got cloud. Silence speaks loud. The minute Tyler gets into the house, Kay is there to embrace him. And again, I think this just further solidifies that Tyler is going to probably leave this island with Kay. And again, the petty in me, especially if I was on a show like this, I would send a message no matter what. But I do think at the same time, sometimes saying nothing is a good way to say something. So, Taylor. Now, Taylor says in her confessional that she did not send a video because she has nothing nice to say. But for Tyler, he told her he loves and misses her and that this process has been extremely different than he thought.
Thought it was gonna be. And I do really need you to know that no matter what, I want the best for her.
He wants the best for her and loves her. And Taylor realizes after this video that there was no acknowledgement that the boundaries were crossed. There was no apology. There was no, oh my goodness, I realized what I could have been losing. So if he had even acknowledged those boundaries, she felt like that would have shown some growth and that would have really meant a lot to her. But they are at the same place. When she gets back inside, she goes straight for some comfort from Yaman, and she does not want to talk about it. Again, if there's one couple I think needs to really break, well, two couples. I also think this is another couple that just needs to break up. I think there's too much resentment between the two of them. I think their relationship already started on some shaky ground anyway, and I just feel like the two of them need to have a clean break. I think that what one another needs, they are not able to get from each other. So that's my honest opinion. Now, Shantae. Shantae gets a video from Brion, and he is talking about how he loves and misses her. And
To be the man that you dream of having. I've learned to find myself and open myself. I'm ready to love you.
Can't wait to be the man she dreams of having. He has learned a lot about himself, and now he can love her fully. Now he says the threesome was not sufficient and not what he needed. So you could clearly tell Shantae is melting. And again, I just hate it for Shantae that Brion was right in that all he has to do is say sorry, and Shantae is sitting here in a tizzy wondering what there is to do. She just wishes that he could have been this way the entire time. And for Brion, he gets a video from Shantae, and Shantae says, look, hearing the way that you've been acting does not feel like the real Brion. Not having any regret or remorse after the threesome has hurt me deeply. Seeing you break those boundaries has made me question what they are. And Brion, in the confessional,
We get a chance to speak again. That will bring more clarity to both of us.
Of
he starts to talk. He says he feels humbled in a sense of, and he starts to cry. He starts to cry. And I'm like, Brion. But that is how we end off episode 7. Let's jump into episode 8. So Brion is talking with the girls post video, telling him it was nerve-wracking, seeing how hurt Shantae was. It does seem that it has very much affected Brion. The problem is sometimes when you do things, you know, sometimes you realize it's too late. You don't really get a free pass in a relationship and then decide to realize that you have nothing. I also cannot get past the fact that Brion wants to exhibit all this emotion now when he has a worry that he may potentially lose the one girl he has after all of the other girls that he wanted, he tried to reject, right? He dropped the other 2 girls after he effed them because they had no value to him. And then when he wanted to talk to Amaya and Angel, they both called him out on his BS, how he's contradictory, how he's a liar, how he's all over the place. And so now he realizes he's in a doghouse. He doesn't have anybody, and now he wants to cry. Amaya is realizing once again that Brion does not take any responsibility for anything that he does. So Amaya actually pulls Brion aside to talk, and she's like, look, I'm gonna be real with you. I feel like you take no accountability. You said you didn't cheat on your girl, but you did. He starts to make excuses like, oh, but we have to separate this from the real world, and this is different. And she's like, yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I just am not really feeling this. I don't think this is something that I align with. So I would like to politely decline the date that we have.
So I just am gonna decline the date.
Yeah, that's fine. This morning been all about the video. Like, that's really where my focus is. Like, where's Shantae's head at? That's why all this extra.
And I felt so proud. I was like, Amaya, let me find out. Amaya is my star this season. Amaya is my girl. Because I don't even care. As a temptress, you need to call the BS out. Brion is everywhere. He is everywhere. This man is definitely a sex addict. I will just go ahead and say it. There is some serious psychological stuff going on. Brion has discussed some serious things that he went through in his childhood. And I just feel like Brion absolutely needs to be in the ladies' chair by himself. Shantae needs to go focus on herself. Baby, go to church. Go find you a man of God that's actually respectful and faithful and loyal to you. And let Brion go be in the ladies' chair and work on himself, because this is not it. You cannot believe that this is love. Brion in the confessional is talking about how his mind is only on the video and right now he doesn't care about the extra ish. And I'm like, whatever, Brion. He said he'll gladly go on his date alone. So Grant and Natalie, they are having their date. It is paddleboarding. He reads her a letter about how he loves her and the connection is real. She's never been a second option, and how the love that they have has what he's been yearning for this entire time, and she's been able to show him that. Now, Natalie is talking a little bit about her family because Grant says he wants to ask more questions because in the past he's gotten in trouble for not asking enough questions. So she talks a little bit about her family and says her dad's not really that scary. He's pretty chill. He's pretty lighthearted, but her friends are definitely the ones that will ask you questions and interrogate you. Now, he is wondering if they'll see each other after the island, and Natalie's like, well, isn't it up to us? Ashley and Danny have a pottery date. They're slapping pottery all over each other. They're kissing. They're touchy-feely. Again, definitely seems like the sparks are flying. There's not a whole lot of I don't feel like there's a whole lot of progression with their dates, but you can definitely tell that physically they like each other and there's chemistry. I'm not sure yet if I see it for these two after the island, but I definitely think that it is a fun summer fling. And I think that's a start, right? So Brion goes on his little slushy date alone. He's talking about how half of his heart was in that iPad. That's why he's so cold to everyone here. But at this point, he's going to be on the straight and narrow. I'm like, you're going to be on the straight and narrow because no one likes you. All of the girls are disgusted with you. So yeah, of course you're going to be on the straight and narrow because nobody wants you. So Taylor and Yaman, they have their date. They are hiking and they're at a waterfall. It feels very, very natural at first. Now, Yaman felt that she was closed off in the beginning, but now she's opening up, and this new Taylor that has opened up so much really does make him feel warm and fuzzy inside. She says that she got everything she wanted and more out of this, and they go in for the kiss. Again, this to me is honestly only giving island fling. I feel the same way about Danny and Ashley. It's given I had a fun summer, but I think again there's nothing wrong with that if you're coming out of a relationship and you just want to do something fun. I just don't see it for Yaman and Taylor. I think that they seem to be very different people, and I can imagine they have different lifestyles. I also haven't forgotten how Taylor said that Case, I believe it was, had the Southern values that she was looking for. And I just don't know that Yaman actually embodies those Southern values. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. So Kay and Taylor, they have a mud bath date. For Tyler, at this point, he really wants clarity on what to do over these next few days. He wants to know how it's going to be with he and Kay. He knows that they both feel something, but he wants to make sure that it's going to work this time. He really does not want to do it wrong. At this point, they're in the water, they're talking. He says he wants to wash off all the heaviness from his previous relationship. Is it out with the old and in with the new? We will see. So Shantae and Gio, they do a glass blowing class. This is definitely just a friend date, very platonic, but he does continue to motivate her and say that she is a great person. You know, keep going. You've taken this all in stride. Shantae in her confessional says she does not know what Brion could tell her to keep going. And I'm like, Shantae, why are you pretending that you're not going to get back with this man? I just want to know because, girl, we know. I know, you know, he knows, she knows, they know you are getting back with this man. Not we, you. Because I almost said we. I would never be with that man. Lino and Alex, they are rock climbing. And again, Lino jumps into how he and Alex were at one point intrigued with each other. There was, questions, but after the message that he got from Lex, the doubt is gone. He knows that's his woman and he is there. And lastly, Lex and Max, they go on an energy healing date, and Lex just talks a lot again about how she's discovered herself during this. She was always worried about trying to discover the relationship with Lino and make sure that was okay, but she realized through all of this, she also needs to look inward at herself. So post-date, Ashley and Taylor, they are talking a lot about their dates. They're discussing how they were kissing. Taylor talks about how she and Yaman totally made out. He kisses exactly like she kisses. It was great. Now, Yaman is also inside telling Danny about the kiss that they had. Taylor says that she would hook up with him. Okay. Ashley is talking about how she and Danny were doing the pottery and she kept looking back. And every time she looked back, there could have been a chance for Danny to kiss, but he didn't at first. But eventually he went in for the kiss. So meanwhile, back at the guys' villa, Grant and Natalie are all cuddled up and Brion and the other guys are talking about whether or not they're going to leave the island together. Is it going to happen? What's going to go on? Now, Kay and Tyler are talking and they're in bed. And Kay claims that since they started having sleepovers, that was the first time she really considered the fact that she and Tyler could have a real relationship.
Maybe not good things, but good things.
I haven't even thought really about the idea of like falling in love with Tyler. But that's...
I'm like, really, girl? Because since day one, you've been like, pick me, pick me, pick me. And the only reason why I haven't pointed it out is because I get that that's the point of being a temptress on this show. But you have been eager believer to be with that man since day one. She says that now all of a sudden she has pictured actually falling in love with Tyler and having a real relationship. And I'm like, okay. They're making out in the bed though. So Danny and Ashley, they are also sleeping in the same bed.
No, you don't.
It truly gives you a sense of what life could be after. We'll see where it goes.
And they are making out. It's getting more serious, but again, I just don't get deep feeling vibes from Ashley. I think Ashley has a lot of baggage and a lot of hurt right now. And I just don't, like, I think she likes Danny. I think she thinks he's attractive. But do I see a real relationship outside of it? I don't think so. So the next morning, Mark lets everybody know that this is the last bonfire before they see their partner at the final bonfire and choose how they want to go forward. Let's begin with the women's bonfire. So we begin with Shantae. Shantae gets the clip of Amaya rejecting Brion for the date, all that talk about how he has been very wishy-washy and not upfront. He picks and chooses when he wants to be single. Shantae is happy that Amaya stood up for herself.
No kissing or any sexual boundaries crossed, and that obviously happened, and someone is calling him out on it. So now that
and called him out. There's not much to say there. They do discuss how their rules and their boundaries were no kissing or no getting sexual. And of course, Brion has broken all of those boundaries. So again, what's going to happen in the future? Does Brion love her? Does Brion like her? Shantae, I don't even know why you're still asking these questions. But anyway, Ashley gets the clip of Grant talking about how Natalie shows the love that he's been yearning for. Now, Ashley says, look, I feel like Grant jumps from girl to girl without acknowledging what he left behind.
This is so sweet.
I want to start this moment by telling you how beautiful, sweet, and amazing.
Good image of it. What's your definition of love for you?
She felt the message that he left was a waste of time. He took absolutely no responsibility for anything. And the point of coming to the show was not to cheat, and he did. Mark is concerned that at this point, Ashley does not have a good idea of what love looks like in a relationship, and she cannot answer. She literally cannot answer what positive, healthy love looks like in a relationship. And again, I think Ashley is definitely one who needs to take a little bit of time, figure out herself. We have seen Grant come down pretty hard on her constantly. We have seen Grant constantly say what she needs to do, what she needs to let go of. It's all her fault. And I just feel like it is so toxic. I think when you're in one of these toxic roller coaster relationships, it really messes with your mind. And I do feel bad for Ashley because it seems like this is what she's used to. It just feels like I think they said they were together 2.5 years. So imagine going through this for 2.5 years, is it? Or was it a year? I don't remember. But in either event, even going through this on and off, back and forth, fighting, I'm going to make you jealous. I'm going to make you jealous. I'm going to then get back at you. Then you're going to run back to me. Oh my goodness, I don't care about you until I see that I'm about to lose you. And then I want to, no, it's too much. And I just feel like Ashley definitely needs to take some time. Danny is fun and a fling, but I don't see it there right now. I just think Ashley needs to learn who she is and what she's looking for. Because if you can't answer what healthy love is to you, then maybe you need to take some time to figure out what that means to you. So Lex gets the clip of Lino talking about how he needs to test himself again with Alex, telling her to stop dipping the straw that way, and all of this different stuff. You can tell that Lex does not really believe this. I feel like Lex is on to this whole thing where she's like, I just know it's a clip.
Do you have the tools now to arrest it there and have a different way of communicating?
A lot of our disagreements or issues that we've been having stem.
No, it's not a big deal. But Lex does say the point of coming was for him to test whether he wants to be with her. And of course, there's this little seed of doubt every now and then that he may have done something with someone else. But overall, she really hopes that they are able to be together. Again, this couple is walking away. We're probably going to see a marriage announcement somewhere soon because I just think that these two have the highest chance of actually making it. Their relationship seems to be an actual relationship as opposed to a lot of the other relationships on this show. Now, Taylor gets a clip of Grant talking to Kay, of course, about how it's out with the old, in with the new, them kissing in bed, him discussing being close to being in love with Kay. I think he said he's on the precipice of love was his words. Taylor is happy for him, and that's all she feels.
Okay.
The thought of falling in love again is just, terrifying.
I just feel like I've gained a lot more. I initially came into this experience thinking that this was for Tyler, and I really see in the end, it was kind of for me all along.
Mark's like, okay, so what do you really feel? Taylor's like, I feel empty. I just don't know. And I'm like, oh, here we go again. She came in thinking that this experiment was going to be for him, but in reality, she realized there was actually a lot of things that she needed to realize. And again, you two, cut it. So they now learn that they can select one overnight date with a guy from the villa. Whoever is not selected is going to go home onto the guy's bonfire. So we start off with Grant. Grant gets Ashley talking about how she's into Danny. They're kissing. They're in the same bed. Again, it really has not gone farther with the two of them. It's just giving a fun fling. Now he says that it is terrible to watch, but she has moved on and so has he.
I feel relief because I've known that I didn't completely want it, that I was forcing it because I thought it was the right thing to do and it was wrong.
He talks about how it was made very, very clear when Ashley did not send a message to him what she thought. He is so hung up on this lack of a message and how that means something. He feels relief. Mark is once again asking, why do you feel relief? Why do you feel relief when you see her with someone else? And he says, look, I'm gonna keep it a stack. I knew I did not fully want this. I have been forcing this relationship because I felt like I needed to make it work. He goes in deeper saying that everyone in his family has been in these long-term relationships, so he had to show everyone in his family that he could make something work as well. I just have questions because I'm like, Grant, you have a daughter. So this makes no sense. Why would it be your on again, off again girlfriend that you want to prove so badly to your family that you can make work rather than the mother of your child? I just don't really... And the whole thing makes no sense in the first place because if a relationship's not meant to be, it's just not meant to be. But I'm just a little bit lost when it comes to Grant and what he's talking about. Now, he learned through his connection with Natalie that he looks at a lot of things with rose-colored glasses. I don't know, man. I felt like Mark was coddling him just a little bit too much. A little bit too much because this man has taken absolutely no accountability. Anyway, Lino gets Lex talking about how she came in with the intention to make things stronger, discover more about the relationship, but in the end, she actually realizes that she needed to learn more about herself.
Complaints were. What would you say is the thing you learned?
Coming in here, obviously, some of that resentment and trust issues came from a place inside of me, that feeling of...
Lino says that he is glad to hear that she has learned more about herself, she's gotten to open up, and that she has a support system in the villa. He is super proud of himself for not giving into temptation, not using the hall pass. He could have, but he absolutely did not. No, like, could you have, Lino? Nobody was attracted to you, Lino. But I also felt like that was such a jab at all of the other men who have taken the hall pass and eaten it, slurped it, bit it, everything they could do with it. So anyway, Tyler gets Taylor and Yaman kissing.
Whole experience coming to this island, I got exactly what I came here to get, plus some.
Yeah.
And he says, look, I realized that I got with her at a very inappropriate time. I was just getting out of a marriage. I realized that I can't be the man that I wanted to be, that vulnerable man for her. And now it may be too late. And again, I will say I liked the self-reflection from Grant and Tyler, because finally they're admitting the shortcomings and where things went wrong. And again, sometimes it is just time to end a relationship. I really believe that. I don't believe that every relationship must be fixed. I think sometimes, especially if you're just dating and it's only been a year and you have all this trauma, it's like, it's okay to have a clean break and just find somebody else and just wipe your hands clean. It's okay to fall out of love. Sometimes you realize the person for you is not the person for you. And sometimes you realize you were that person that messed it up. So, Shantae. Or Brion, excuse me. Brion gets Shantae talking about how she loved Brion so much, wanted him to be her husband, but she doesn't want to keep waiting around to see him doing stupid shit. Their kids might see this in the future. This is the conversation she was having with Lex after, where she was venting after the threesome clip. Now, Brion realizes that for 2 weeks back to back, he has been showing clips that have hurt her.
Be proud of. How I started, it was a lot of Shantae doesn't do this, Shantae doesn't do that, Shantae could do more of this. And on this journey, weird feeling.
You good, bro?
It's a weird feeling. I don't know how to express it right now, but I guess I got to talk to a lot of people.
For him, he realizes that he put a lot of blame on her for why the relationship wasn't working, but he realizes that it's himself and what he has to work on. He has a lot of trouble with vulnerability because his parents were on drugs, he was removed from the home at 2 years old, and he lived with a white family as a black man, which was also very, very tough. He left the house at 17. He really didn't have that parental support. He even talked about how when all the kids' parents were dropping them off at college, he had to drive himself to college. So Mark encourages Brion to tap into those feelings with Shantae, open up about that. You're telling us here, but maybe those are things that she needs to hear. And I was like, Mark, yeah? But at the same time, okay, I'm sorry, with Brion, it's giving, I have a lot of baggage that I need to tap into. I was even wondering if Shantae knew about this stuff. It's giving that I need to work on me. You know, there are times in life where sometimes you should be single and work on yourself. There are times where you need to just be focusing on the emotional turmoil and the trauma that you've gone through. Brion sounds like he has quite a rough story. And that's not to say that he can never have love in his entire life, but I just think right now he's not in that place. There's a lot of harmful, reckless things that he's doing. And it's not fair to someone like Shantae to have to keep going through the ups and downs with him. And the problem is, I know she will. I know she will, but I don't want that for her. I just need Brion to be, like I said, you're a Christian, lean on God, do that, continue to be that man, but also get some counseling. Because that's a lot to carry. And the way we've seen you treat these women, clearly you use sex and women as kind of a mask for all those feelings. It's impulsivity. So anyway, that is the end of the guys' bonfire. And once again, Mark lets them know that you guys will have your last overnight date. Whoever is not chosen is going home. So after the bonfire, Lino realizes he is definitely popping the question. And I was like, okay, I see y'all. I'm so happy. I will be honest. I'm so happy Lino got past that she was exclusive with 2 people at the beginning thing, because I could already tell you that just was the way that was being described. I felt like it wasn't what it was trying to make it seem. And I'm just so glad he can get past that. I hope the resentment has simmered down, but I'm so happy to hear that. Brion realizes and is hoping, he hopes that Shantae will allow him to still be a husband. He hopes that Shantae will be able to see how everything that he's gone through has affected him. And he realizes how much he has hurt Shantae and other people in relationships in the past. This man is sobbing. He is crying. And I have a feeling this is the first time he's talked about a lot of this stuff. So We will have to see. We are winding down to the end. But if you made it to this point in the video, that means you liked the video. So I would greatly appreciate it if you would support the channel by liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Helps to get the videos out there, and it inspires me to keep creating. Thank you guys so much for watching, supporting. We've been having such a fun time recapping Temptation Island. If you haven't been watching my Love is Blind Sweden videos, definitely check them out. Recaps for the new episodes will be out soon. Thank you guys so much for supporting my channel, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.